Welcome to the new YouTube channel. If you haven't already done it, hit the subscribe button to follow us all season long for updates and content. So happy that you're here. It's going to be a great year. Jordan Love, Mitchell, I did not have a lot of faith in Jordan Love, and I'm still on the fence. He played a great game, though. Got to give him all the credit in the world. 15 for 27, 245, 3 touchdowns, 123.2 passer rating. That's a fantastic game for anybody. And Aaron Jones continuing to do what he's always done, 9 rushes for 41 yards, a TD, 2 receptions, 88 yards in a TD. But he got a little banged up at the end, so that's concerning. Their defense played really, really well, was very disruptive. Devontae Wyatt, a sack and a half. Quay Walker, who they picked up with a pick 6. And then it's just got to be concerning for the Bears. That offensive line looked porous at times. I mean, there was pressure all over the place in Justin Fields' face. He was 24 for 37, but 216 yards. He had a touchdown, but he threw an interception. He ran the ball for 59 yards on 9 carries, but he lost a crucial fumble. I just don't know what to make of him, but the Packers got more time to develop. They're playing the Falcons this week, who are coming off a huge win. Bijan Robinson looks like the real deal. But that should be another good test for him. The Bears are at the Bucs, and the Bucs, Mitchell, the Bucs. Boy.
Richard, before you leave this game, I live in NFC North country over here. Mm-hmm. It's well chronicled. We've had to endure, as a Detroit Lion fan, we've had to endure Brett Favre. We've had to endure the immediate turnover into Aaron Rodgers. And now we're all happy over here because we don't have to deal with either of those two. But now there's Jordan Love. And I got friends texting me, Packers fans texting me, hey, we got another one.
Mitchell.
I will say this, and I mean, Jordan Love, good game today, solid and 15 completions, whoop-de-doo, Reality is, it's the perfect week 1 opponent for him. Let's not forget, last year, the Chicago Bears finished the NFL with the worst record in the league for a reason. They were the worst team in the league. And there was a lot of hype around them going into the season, a potential worst to first candidate. Well, I got news for you, my friends down in Chicagoland. You're going to stay in the worst dweller because this team was fumbling the ball. They did not look explosive plays. I didn't see any of them. I mean, I don't know whether to make more of Jordan Love's performance and the Green Bay Packers performance or more of the Chicago Bears just sheer poor performance. And yeah. Richard, I'm kind of in the middle of the two of them right now.
I can't figure it out, and we'll need more time, but you got to give Jordan Love credit for, the opponent. They stepped out there. They were in front of him. He went in there and he shredded them. 15 passes doesn't seem like a lot, but he threw for 245. We were just talking about Russell Wilson completing 27 passes for only 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. This guy threw for 245 on less completions. So the yards per play, yards per pass are greater, but it's just a lot up in the air. I'm not ready to put them in the power rankings at all. Their defense played really well, so you got to give them all the credit in the world. The Packers scored on their opening drive. They hadn't scored on the opening drive one time the whole season last year, so that's improvement. But we'll see. We'll see how they do going forward. But he looks good. I'm sure Packers fans are feeling very good and optimistic going forward. I think they got another one, but we will see. It is a long season in the National Football League.
Let's go to Cleveland. We haven't talked about Cleveland. We talked about this briefly before.
We never go to Cleveland, Mitchell.
We never talk about Cleveland, but we're going to talk about them right now because they earned it.
They did earn it.
24-3, Rich. Joe Burrow, highest paid player in NFL history. Looked like he probably should have been the lowest paid player in NFL history today. 14-31 for 82 yards. I know the conditions were suspect out there, but you got a 52.2 passer rating after getting that huge payday. I expect a lot more. How the heck does this happen? 24-3, Rich.
I have no idea, Mitchell. It just looked bad. It was the conditions. It was the offensive line. It was just a terrible game. But you got to remember, Joe Burrow didn't play in a lot of the training camp. He doesn't have the reps. And the quarterback is probably the main position that you have to have the reps. You have to get your footwork. You have to have the pressure in your face and move around and go through your reads, get the speed of the game. And it just looked like the game was moving too fast for him. It was probably the first time in his career where it looked like the game was too fast for Joe Burrow. And he had the career low 82 passing yards, 14 of 32, 52.2 passer rating, a career low. Only took 2 sacks, but then you got Jamar Chase because he still has these elite receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And Jamar Chase had 5 catches for 39 yards. I mean, just wasn't a lot of yards to go around, but yeah, it's mind-boggling. You know, I had him as an MVP candidate this year, and obviously you're not going to get it done doing that. The conditions were the conditions, but Deshaun Watson still went 16 of 29 for 154, threw an interception and a TD, but they still found ways to get it done. They couldn't. Joe Mixon was non-existent, so the Cincinnati Bengals couldn't lean on their run game like the Browns did. The Browns leaned on Nick Chubb, who's been voted the best running back in the National Football League, 18 carries for 106 and a touchdown, 4 receptions. And then Myles Garrett showed up in a big way when they needed him. Big sacks, a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and it just never looked like Cincinnati had a chance. Deshaun Watson ran for a touchdown, but he didn't look like he played particularly well. But it looks like the Browns have the Bengals number. They've beat them 6 of the last 7. Like, there aren't many
That's
teams.
Crazy.
And the Bengals have had really good teams. They've been into the AFC Championship 2 of the last 3 years. So it's not like these teams are just, run-of-the-mill teams. These are really good teams. So I think this is a big confidence booster for the Cleveland Browns. But, I mean, it's a head-scratcher for the Bengals.
It is a head-scratcher. I mean, you touched on Nick Chubb. I mean, I feel like he doesn't get enough love. I mean, there's a guy, like, truthfully, Rich, offensively, he is their guy. But you don't hear his name a whole lot on a national, perspective, but he certainly deserves it. I mean, as you touched on, I know NFL personnel and players and coaches and GMs all voted him the number 1 best running back in the league. And he certainly deserved it after today's performance. 18 rushes, 106 yards, really set the tone for their team. Richard, they look like they have developed an identity. Defensively, Myles Garrett is a beast. I mean, you want to talk about a Defensive Player of the Year candidate? There's one in Cleveland right there, Myles Garrett. They address a lot of needs in the offseason. This win is a huge shocker to me, and I would assume the NFL landscape. But does it change your perception of the Cleveland Browns going forward the rest of this year? Do you think that they could be a contender in this division and in the AFC?
Well, Jim Schwartz was another addition that they picked up. Somebody I'm sure you're familiar with.
Sure.
Jim Schwartz has this defense playing really well. It doesn't seem like they're running a different scheme than what Joe Woods was running with them last year. It just seems like the players are executing it a lot better. They're in the hooks. They're being where they're supposed to be. The corners are tighter in coverage. They've always had Denzel Ward, who's one of the top paid corners, one of the best corners in the National Football League, but it just seems like they're executing. They're inspired. I don't know if this is just early in the season, but they're playing fast. They're running. They're hitting. It's fun to watch, but it's not fun to watch if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan because there aren't many answers out there for you. Reminder, every episode of this podcast premieres live on AMP. So download the app, subscribe to me at Richard Sherman to tune in to all of our shows live.